All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Hockey in the 313 podcast. This is the recording of episode 3. I'm Brian.
I'm Dayton.
I'm Owen.
And I'm Hunter.
And today we're going to be going over Steve Yzerman's press conference that he decided to post on July 4th. We're going to go over some of the topics that he addressed and some of the main news/moments that he ran over. And then section 2, we're going to go over the Tarasenko/Tyler Mott signings along with Joe Veleno filing for arbitration. And then we're going to go over some rookie development camp news and some of our thoughts on the prospects that were in that and how they did. And then finally, as always, we're going to kick off the end of the episode by doing some follower-submitted questions by you guys so you can interact with us. And as always, let's get ready to go. Okay, so section 1. Steve Yzerman's press conference. Starting off, kind of kicked it off with people asking him what was the deal with Ghost and Perron. Yzerman kind of followed that up, saying he had talks until the end of July 1st with the two. Unfortunately, the parties could not come to an agreement. Sad to see both Ghost and Perron go. Ghost, obviously, he had that stellar grab on the blue line that helped save their season, and Perron has been that leadership kind of guy. Great guy in the locker room. Seemed like he always wanted to be a Red Wing. Guys, what's your thoughts on these two players leaving?
Hunter.
Oh boy, we're doing this again. I love him. I love Perron. I love Gostisbehere. My whole viewpoint on Gostisbehere changed about probably with 5 games left in the season. But I loved Perron as a player. I loved everything about him. I loved his board battling. I loved how just the snarl he had. I loved his leadership. I don't love it for $4 million for 2 years. Go ahead and chase that bag. I'm all right with that. It just kind of sucks. It was Ottawa. I don't know.
Yeah. Me and my homies hate Ottawa.
Yeah, all my homies hate Ottawa. I don't know.
No, yeah, I was going to say... Oh, sorry, I cut you off.
I mean, considering he had, probably one of the best goals last year, me and my girlfriend were on the ground just, legitimately crying when we saw it. It sucks to see him go, but at the same time, get that money, I guess. I don't really have an issue with it.
Yeah.
Chase your bag, queen.
Yep. Slay. Slay queen.
Do you, I guess, Perron.
Yeah.
I guess it does make sense to go to Ottawa, though. He was closer to... he's closer to home now. This might be kind of his final send-off. He plays out the last 2 years of his contract. Probably does that thing where he signs a one-day contract with the Blues to finish out his career. Ghost is the interesting one, though. I feel like once we saw that contract, we all were kind of stunned and were like, why didn't Yzerman pay that money? I think, Dayton, you mentioned it or something. Maybe he just didn't want to come back. Maybe they were pushing for money. Oh, oopsies.
No, you're good.
I don't know. I mean, it's all confusing. I don't know why we couldn't bring back Ghost. Maybe it was the term. Maybe it was the money. It should not have been the money. I don't think Stevie should have offered anything less than what Carolina was offering. But
I think it was term.
Yeah.
It had to be term. He wanted that stability.
Yeah, honestly, I'm sad to see both of them go. I loved Perron, like Hunter said, as a player. He's, or more so as a guy, I guess. He's a great leader to have around the younger guys, and he's a very heart and soul guy. As far as and also all his passion and pride as like a proud Red Wing, which is always valuable to the team. Like the way he stood up for Larkin when he went down. I'm gonna say though, at the same time, I don't think we should have given him anywhere near that contract he got with Ottawa. So, like Hunter said, go get that bag or whatever. As far as Gostisbehere and Perron both go performance-wise, I feel like both of them had their good moments last season where they really stood out and were great players, but I feel like both of them also had stretches where they were either invisible or just weren't the players we really needed them to be. And I feel that for Perron especially, we've kind of made a pretty suitable, good quality replacement in the offense core and made up for the loss of production we'll get from losing Perron. So that's my
Hmm.
thoughts.
I feel like
Yeah.
Perron really slowed down a lot this year too. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, point wise, he still put up like 40 something, I think, but his skating was really bad. So
His
Father Time's
skating,
really catching up to him.
yeah, his skating was not his strong suit. You could see it. He's laboring out there. It's
yeah,
Hmm.
it's kind of sad to watch, honestly.
yeah,
Poor old man.
that'll be
Yeah.
like Larkin eventually, probably. Which
Yeah.
Stop.
But
Just stop talking.
but God, did he that one timer he had? God, that one timer was good.
yeah,
I still remember being down in the dumps just to be depressed again 2 minutes later.
You want to know
Jeez.
the crazy thing about that goal is I actually missed it. So I
what?
was in the car watching it on the Sportsnet app on my phone, and because my Sportsnet app is behind, I got the notification from Dayton's story that said final score 3-2 before, or it was like 4-3 or something before the game actually
Oh,
ended, and I was just so pissed I just turned the stream off. I'm like, I can't watch this; it's too sad.
oh,
So
I
I
did
turned
one.
it
Oh
off.
yeah, I did that. I
Yeah.
did.
Yeah. And then I went inside on my bed, and I'm like, I see overtime, and I'm like, wait, what the hell happened? And I'm like, quick, I gotta turn this back on. So then I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I missed that goal. It's
And then you
crazy.
were depressed again another
Oh
I
yeah,
something
yeah.
seconds
5 minutes
later.
later, just terrible.
I did that a
It
lot
was
at the end of the year
oh, you
when I
should.
posted
I was.
early.
It was probably like the highest high I think I had all year, and then it was the
And then the
lowest
lowest
low,
low.
and then it
Yep.
was like, all right, well, feed them their lunch, just make them regret ever being alive. And sure enough, Patrick Kane did that. So,
I thought that was
Yeah,
the
he looked
last
so
time.
sad though after that when Kane scored that
oh, dude,
overtime or shootout.
it was so depressing.
Even just
It
seeing the
was,
reactions of the players, they looked so
yeah,
defeated. It was such a sad sight.
Well, they said they found out like I think was it in the middle of overtime or right before the shootout? I think they found
yeah,
out. They said,
yep,
yeah,
right before the shootout, I believe.
and I thought
They
that was.
Montreal did that on purpose. I know for a fact they did.
Yeah,
They wanted to ruin our dreams.
I thought that was the last time we'd see Kane too. I was like, wow. I mean, obviously I wasn't
yeah.
thinking about it at the time, but the next day I was like, wow, that was really the last time we'd see him too.
Yeah, it's like
Huh?
that.
Wait,
It's like that clarity
wait
afterwards. You're
until
like, oh
June
shit.
30th. Wait until June 30th, future Dayton.
Well, it's funny too because I feel like a lot of people like thought he was going to be gone, but I think I was one of the few people that were like, oh, he's just going to test free agency, but I think he'll just come back in the end.
Bro didn't even test free agency.
No,
Anytime I hear test free agency when it comes to the Red Wings, I'm like, it's over. He's leaving.
yeah, yeah,
It's just always worst case scenario.
Worst case scenario always plays out in my head. It's like, oh my gosh, no,
me
it's
too.
gone, it's over.
Yeah,
And then
Yeah,
sometimes it doesn't happen. I'm like, oh okay, that wasn't too bad.
that's
I
one of
thought
the
I thought
yeah,
Kane was gone for sure. Like
yeah.
honestly, well,
It's like
I
they
won't say
can't.
gone for sure. I still had hope that he would come back, but there was a point where there was reports going out that he was talking to the Rangers, and I'm like, ah,
Yeah,
he's gonna go to my least favorite team, isn't he?
Well, I feel like as long as DeBrincat's here, that's going to help Kane just want to stay here. I mean,
yeah.
I think that had a big
Yeah,
factor of it.
I think
Mhm.
that had a big factor in luring in Tarasenko, but I don't want to get into that yet. We'll get into that in a bit.
It still felt like a hostage negotiation. It was awful. Dude, it was awful. Like day to day, it's just like either this team's gonna be, you know, same as they were last year or terrible. One of the two, and I don't know which one I want more.
I'm so excited for the prospect of, or sorry, for the concept of a fully healthy full season of Patrick Kane. It's just
Well,
gonna be.
knock on wood, Owen.
Okay, okay, yeah. Sorry,
Well,
sorry
yeah,
for.
yeah, 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 yeah.
I
Shit.
don't want to jinx
Shouldn't have said
anything.
that. Shouldn't have said that.
God only
Okay.
knows I do that way too often.
Yeah.
Getting on to the next topic, I kind of wanted to address the ghost situation a little more because I feel like we just went to nostalgia land for a quick second.
Oh, we
Sorry.
did.
Talking about Ghost, bringing in Eric Gustafson, as I mentioned before, a much cheap, well, not even a much, maybe $1 million less. In my opinion, he's better than Ghost defensively, maybe a little worse offensively, but I feel like you need that as your defensive group gets better. You need a guy that can actually play defense. Ghost was pretty much not as much as a liability, but he was more of a power play merchant. So, in the grand scheme of things, I think bringing Gustafson rather than Ghost would be, let's hope, better. But I mean, we'll just see until the season starts.
Yep.
Okay. The next topic is one of the bigger topics out there right now. I can't remember who asked it. I think it was Max Boltman. Um, asked if Yzerman went after a big fish or one of the big names on the free agent market. Yzerman classified it as a big fish. He mentioned he did go after one name, but it would require a lot of surgery to the team, way too much money. Didn't fit the right team needs for the for the team for the upcoming season. When he says surgery, you almost have to think it's Steven Stamkos. I've heard people saying it was either Brandon Montour, which could be a possibility. I just feel it's when he says one name, I think we all know that Yzerman was connected to Stamkos the most.
Yeah.
Um, and the surgery part of it means he'd have to dump off more cap. He had to dump off Robbie Fabry either way because once we signed Tarasenko, he traded him. But I think another guy like Husso or Justin Hall could have brought up in that conversation. Not to mention the term, like how long would he be on the team? Would it impact the prospects coming up? Just a bunch of stuff that Steve Yzerman would have to look in for the now and for the future, and I don't think he wanted to do that. I think he loves Stamkos as a player here, or else he would not have went after him. I just don't think the fit was there at all, and that's totally fine.
Well, one of you said there was like significant like negotiations going on between Yzerman and Stamkos, which
Yeah.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of sounds like tampering to me, but whatever. I mean,
Oh well, there
Oh,
was a lot of tampering.
I guess it was just a
that's
free
the
for all this
NHL,
year.
Hunter.
What this
That's
feels like
literally-
99% of them were
Yeah.
tampered.
That's literally
What
what I said. NHL discussion made a post, and it's like I guess tampering was running rampant. I'm like, in other news, the sky is blue.
I saw that comment. That was funny, yeah.
And it
That was
blew
funny.
up.
Yeah, just to go into a bit extra on Stamkos, I feel when Steve also mentions the word surgery, I feel like that also reassures that it's Stamkos because, like, we don't have we're not rich with centers, but as far as we have a couple centers in the pipeline coming up, we've got Danielson, we've got Casper, and I don't want to use the word logjam, but we also do have quite a few centers who could realistically take a spot in the lineup, because we have Andrew Kopp, we have JT
Joe Veleno.
Compher, and Joe Veleno. One of those guys would have inevitably had to be either moved out or bumped down in order to make room for a guy like Stamkos. And even though personally I feel that Stamkos could have been a guy that could have fit our team, like what we're trying to build in Detroit. Well, I should say I mean Steve. But at the end of the day, it sucks that he went to Nashville. But I'm kind of glad we didn't give him that contract because that would have really handicapped us down the road. And I like the moves we made personally, as far as the moves we did make.
That was a crazy contract.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to kind of call out Dayton here and talk to him about the contract stuff about paying guys money. And I mean, I'd rather pay a guy less money and have less term rather than paying a guy $8 million and having him for 4 more years, i.e. Stamkos. But I don't know. I just feel it's better to take the risk later when you're in the contending window than now when you're trying to get your future planned out and you're trying to get your core of the team figured out. I just think getting a guy for 4 years at $8 million would just not be ideal,
Yeah, I
Okay.
definitely understand it. Yeah, like I just look at some of the contracts like some of the other teams gave out for free agents. I point right towards Boston because they gave out 2 massive contracts that were, in my opinion, huge overpayments. So, Sidorov and Lindholm, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
especially Lindholm, because he coming off a down year, especially, and now they're just kind of like baptism by fire, just sticking him into the first line center position. So.
All right, sorry about that. Some malfunctionings with our video real quick to get back on track. In the grand scheme of things, we want to be more competitive, but when you see players that are getting, these 4 to 7 year terms with north of 5 million, I mean, is it really that bad? No, because are we going to win now if we sign those players? Yeah, of course we're going to win now. But when you have those prospects that are coming up, it's a lot more difficult to hassle around that cap space, and I think that's the big picture that we need to look at. And just talking about bringing in these prospects is a whole other topic for another day. But
Well,
No, we could go hours on how this is being handled.
Exactly.
7-hour podcast. Let's go.
Yeah, screw it.
Well, Brian, I was only getting upset just because, like at the time, you were gonna run what Fabry or Rasmussen on the second line, like
Yay!
that top
Yeah.
six, like you needed a top six forward, and well,
Raz legacy season.
that just changed it all. But
Rasmussen,
Anyway.
half point per game player.
You're telling me Robbie Fabry, the guy who was traded for Jacob De La Rose, is not second line material? Dear God, what a hater you are, Dayton.
no,
You
we're
the
not
guy
That's
going
broke
back
his
to
ACL 3 times is
2019.
not second line material.
The guy that got
Jeez.
traded for a shitty goalie prospect from Anaheim.
You
Yeah.
put some respect on Gage Alexander's name.
Oh, I apologize.
Every
Was he like
goalie in
6'6"?
existence, bring him to
6'6".
Detroit.
6'6", 22 with a sub 800 save percent average.
That's what you
Toledo's
want.
next backup goalie next year.
Oh
Probably.
my god.
Okay, so getting back to another topic Yzerman discussed. There's something that there's a little bit of a meme going around that Yzerman has been only signing Michigan players. Of course, there's rumors of Jacob Trouba being traded to Detroit, but that's definitely not happening now. It was mentioned as Steve Yzerman said that agents and players reached out to him saying that they would want to come home, and he said they weren't a part of the plan, but they're always welcome to bring in players that were from their hometown, i.e. this has been from, I don't know, since, who was it? Since it started with Andrew Kopp. I mean, you
Yep.
brought in Kopp, you brought in Comfer, he's from the University of Michigan. Tyler Mott was brought in. He's also from University of Michigan.
Brinket.
Well, I think
DeBrincat.
Mott's actually from Michigan.
He is too. Yeah, he's from Rochester.
St. Clair.
Oh, St. Clair. Interesting.
Yeah. I have his page up.
So
Also,
just
Jack
something that I
Campbell.
wanted- Oh yeah, Jack Campbell. Forgot
Oh,
about
really?
that.
Huron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why that didn't cross my mind. I thought I knew about that. Well, brain fart.
Yeah. We are a predominantly American team. We really hate Canadians. There are
I
only
guess we-
four. There are only 4 Canadians on this roster:
Wow.
Jeez.
Ben Sherratt, Joe Veleno, Michael Rasmussen, and Cam Talbot.
You know
Let's
what?
go.
That's
You
it.
know what? That's more than the Canucks have.
That's crazy.
Oh my god. But yeah, just wanted to throw that in there. It's a little bit of a funny meme. We're just bringing in guys that are homegrown from Michigan.
I don't.
I mean-
I don't hate the idea, honestly. Like it, as long as they're willing to take a discount and they're like a decent player. Like I don't know. Don't bring in some guy who's like absolutely terrible just because he's from Michigan. But like you get a guy like DeBrincat who's a great player and wants to play in his hometown. And, obviously go for it.
Yeah.
I might.
Kyle
I might
Connor
sound.
confirmed to be a Red Wing.
Kyle Connor would be nice.
That would be yeah.
Kyle Connor would be nice. I might
All
sound.
the Hughes brothers.
Oh, the Hughes.
All of them. All 3.
Everyone just turn off salary cap. Call up Gary Bettman, say, hey, Bettman, we want to trade for every Michigan born
BG.
player.
GM mode on Shell, please. Just turn everything off.
Yzerman has dirt on every single GM now.
Isn't Hellebuck from Michigan too?
Oh shit, bring them all
I
in.
think so.
There we go.
Yeah,
Vesna
yeah.
goalie. We
Yeah.
got the dream team.
Yeah, we got All-Star Cam Talbot.
Oh god.
And Jack Campbell.
Yep.
Bring the three-headed tandem alive.
Oh yeah. Just like the last. Oh my god. I'm just flashing back to last season when we had Lyon, Husso, and Reimer all out with injuries, and we had to call up Michael Hutchinson for a game.
That was fun.
Oh,
That's just crazy to me.
That
that
was
was
fun.
brutal.
Scary. Like he didn't even do that awful. It was just
No.
a scary thought.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on to our next topic, Yzerman addressed Wallman, the situation with him. He said needed to move out some money on our back end. What role is the player going to play? Where does everyone fit in? And what my options may be. Basically, what he's saying is that as much as I don't agree with him on this topic, I think he was mentioning that the left side is kind of flooded a little bit. You got guys like Albert Johansson, Edvinson, coming up. You already have guys like Ben Sherratt on the team. I guess I can kind of see where it was flooded, but I mean, it just should not have been Wallman, man. It should. I'm still on that train where it should have been Justin Hall, but I mean, you got to do what you got to do, I guess. But
I'm dead inside.
yeah, Jake
You got the
Wallman
right
officially
guys.
dead.
I guess I understand Wallman in the sense of I know for a fact that he was not going to be able to, unload Justin Hall's contract without either retaining salary or giving him like a first or a second round. However, he gave a second round for Wallman, which is even for the San Jose GM kind of perplexing. So,
Even when you think about it, like GMs didn't even know. Like he wasn't asking anyone, "Hey, what would you take
he
for
wasn't
Wallman?"
shocked.
It was literally just here, have Wallman. Like
That
Yeah.
you're
baffles
the
me.
only team that I've called. Take him. So again, I don't agree with it, but I mean, you have guys like Edvinson and Johansson coming up. Dayton knows very well that I'm very high on breaking our prospects up because I don't want a Bergeron situation to happen where they're going to
Yeah.
be bloated in the AHL. But I mean, we know Edvinson's going to make the NHL. It's long overdue. He should have been up last year. He wasn't until the very end of the season, but when he was in for the end of the season, he was amazing. It's going to be, I don't know where he's going to fit in the lineup, whether he's going to play top pair with Sider or he's going to take some of that pressure off of him on the second pair. Either way, just having him on the team will be a much better scenario than having Wallman play the top pair. As much as I love Wallman, something had to be done. Edvinson is going to have the higher ceiling than Wallman will in the next couple of years. So
Yeah.
I think we're all just kind of mesmerized by him hitting the gritty and him being a fan favorite than anything.
Well,
But
I genuinely liked his game, honestly. So
I
the
feel like
grittying helped, but
like if you
Yeah,
look at the defense. Oh, sorry, but
No, you go.
if you look at the defense, he's the only one that really was movable. I mean, you got Justin Hall, like you said. He's also got Hall's also got I think he's got a 15 team no trade list.
yeah,
So you can't really do much there. And then, well, Petrie has a no movement clause. Sherratt
he's
also
retiring a Red Wing.
yeah, no, he probably will.
No, it's
then,
gonna
46 to the
happen.
Raptors. 46 to the Raptors.
Oh God.
Jefferson Petrie,
Oh
46.
my gosh.
The man, the myth, the legend, Jefferson Petrie.
Oh my god.
But you got Sherratt also, who no one to take his contract, even though I don't think he was too bad last year. So I wouldn't have wanted us to get rid of him. And then who else you got? Mata. I don't know if his contract has anything on it, but I mean,
No.
I could see Mata
Then-
being movable though.
That's what I told Dayton. He doesn't agree with me, though.
I think he's
I
just a
just-
steady Eddie, stay-at-home defender with slight offensive upside.
He's
I
our
mean-
best defensive defenseman. That's what I'll say about that.
That's just
I mean,
a
he let-
testament to how
He
bad
let
our
Hronek
decor is,
flourish,
though.
and to which we got a first and a second round for him. So
oh yeah, that's right. Turned into ASP.
I think
As
that's
much as-
still a win for us,
Yeah.
honestly.
As
ASP
much as
will
I-
be a lot better than Hronek, and I already know it. I'm
oh yeah,
extremely high on ASP.
oh yeah, I'm
wouldn't
I'm
wanna be?
happy with that trade.
Yeah.
As much
As-
as it was out of left field, it was the
Yeah.
best move Yzerman could have ever made.
As much as I love that man, the trade was great. I said straight up day one, I'm like, oh, that's a fleece job. Okay, yeah, go ahead, have him.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Next up, Yzerman. I think this is the main topic that I think should be discussed with the Red Wings fans, along with just I don't know. It's just it feels like this needs to be the main focus of the team. Yzerman mentioned about how losing around, I don't know what the number was. I think it was around 75 goals of our team that was lost, counting Daniel Sprong, David Perron, Shane Gostisbehere, those guys, and I think I'm forgetting one other.
Fabry.
Fabry. Yep. Around 75 goals were lost in that category, but you make up with that role by getting a guy like Eric Gustafsson, who is a very good defender, but also has upside on his offensive attributes. Maybe not as much as Shane Gostisbehere, but it's better to have a leeway between being a good defensive defenseman and being a good offensive defenseman, and I think Gustafsson is exactly that. You have Edvinson who can play both sides of the puck as well, which I think is much needed.
Yeah.
Aljo is a very good defensive defenseman. Who can put some numbers on the boards, either an assist. He didn't put as much goals up with Grand Rapids, but I think he still can have that shot on the power play, or maybe even down the line on the power play.
Johansson?
Yeah, he was on
Huh.
power play too for the Griffins.
The
Yeah.
way Steve's talking in his presser and like recently, I have a feeling he's gonna make the team. Honestly,
On
Just-
Johansson?
yeah. Steve sounds like he wants him on the team next year, and I know he's still got to go through like they got to go through camp and whatnot. But
Yeah.
just Steve seems pretty high on him this year.
So
I feel like he has to put Albert Johansson's name on there because he's not waiver exempted for.
yes. So here's in my notes I have, because I watched everything and just wrote everything down. He did say he expects Ed to contribute. Probably going to be PK. I'm assuming second line, probably next to Petrie. He says he expects him to contribute. He said Johansson will get an opportunity, and I have opportunity like underlined like 5 times. So I don't know, unless he absolutely knocks the door down in camp, in training. He might be a 7th defenseman, honestly.
That's a good point.
Which
It's
is totally
kinda-
fine. As much as that may sound crazy to people, I mean, you have healthy scratches all the time. I mean, for God's sake, we scratched Gostisbehere last year, and there's injuries, so having him as a 7th defenseman won't be bad at all.
Yeah, I'm just saying I don't think he'll be opening line roster, but if the hockey gods will it and someone gets injured, he will probably play. So
Agreed.
I'd rather have him rotating in and out anyways for his first season because
I
I
would
like
like
to.
that.
Yeah, I like to
Ease
take
him in.
Luke Hughes as an example. New Jersey just kind of chucked him out there last year and expected him to be like a top pairing defenseman like Quinn was, and he kind of struggled in his first season. Like he wasn't terrible, but he wasn't like this amazing defenseman who was like he was. They expected him to really help New Jersey's decor after they lost some important pieces, and I think the fact that they put so much trust in him and he wasn't like the best D-man in the league like they expected him to emerge as kind of hurt their playoff chances in a way. I guess we'll talk more about like when we look around the league later, but that's just an example I like to compare to with like rushing defensemen to the NHL.
I mean,
That's what I was
it would also help if they had a consistent goalie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder how much it hurt Luke Hughes that Dougie Hamilton was out for the year.
Yeah, that was true too.
That's right. Oh yeah. Yeah, I forgot about that.
All right. Kind of getting back to what I was mentioning about the goals being lost is you're upgrading on the defensive side, and I think as much as people were baffled by the signing, I think Cam Talbot he's 110% an upgrade over what we had in that last year. Maybe not when Line was in his prime with us before his downward spiral, but I think Talbot's going to be that goalie that's going to stay consistent for us.
Agree.
And like as mentioned on the Wingwood podcast, they said if Line, I don't know, if he plays 30 games and you start to see that burnout, you can probably throw Talbot in there, or vice versa. I mean, if Talbot starts seeing a burnout, you throw in Lyon. I mean, Talbot, he's a veteran in the league, and I think that's what we kind of need. I mean, we saw that with Reimer, but Reimer's always been a career backup. I think Talbot has bounced around teams. He was a starter for Ottawa. He was a starter for LA. It's a very under the radar kind of signing for us. I think it does have a chance to be a very good signing in my opinion. We're gonna have to wait to see what happens with Husso. I actually have this is like my third to last notes. We're gonna talk about the goalies here in a second before we jump to Kane and Tarasenko's updates. But I don't know. I just feel like our defensive game got a lot better. Is it up to par in what we really wanted to do? No, not really. But I mean, it's still an upgrade of what we had last year. So you never know. You're just going to have to wait and to see what happens on the ice. But yeah, that's just how I feel. So yeah.
Talking about goals, I'm sorry. But talking about goals, I did also hear Yzerman was talking about DeBrincat's shooting percentage being down. So usually his shooting percentage is about a 15. Last year it was an 11.4. So I mean, he also, I think he noted his expected goals should turn into actual goals next year. And I think DeBrincat's going to have, I wouldn't say a bounce back year, but I think he could go up 10, 20 more points if, used
Yeah.
significantly on the proper line,
Mhm.
i.e. Kane or Tarasenko's side. So,
I think he'll thrive better with a consistent winger on the other side than being like bounced around between Kane and Raymond. I
exactly.
think if he sticks with I'm fine with him either sticking with Raymond or sticking with Tarasenko. They're both really solid options, but I have a feeling that if he gets some consistency with one line rather than being bounced around a lot, I think he'll thrive better under that kind of system because he had a pretty consistent wingman in Chicago, which is something he also didn't really have in Ottawa, and then he didn't really have last year because he was kind of moved around a little
Yeah.
bit. So I think he'll improve this year as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I agree.
Next up, I want to speed past these kind of two topics as we get into Tarasenko and Mott. But ironically enough, Kane and Tarasenko. Yzerman said he was very glad we brought back Kane. Felt the parties between the 1-year deals fit well for both Kane and his agent and Yzerman. I think getting him back on a 1-year deal is an absolute steal for us. Just all around, I think it was a very good bringing him back. And as mentioned before, Kane wanted to come back. You've seen how excited he was when he was on this team. The connection with the Brinket, the friendship he's built with Larkin and Raymond. I think it was no doubt in anyone's mind. Or I guess there's doubt in our minds, but there's no doubt in his mind that he wanted to come back. Very cannot express enough how excited we are to have him back. And Tarasenko, he spoke very highly about Tarasenko's game. He said he's a big forward, 6 foot, very well to have a big kind of guy to be playing with Comfer or Kane, or we kind of have some of those smaller guys up in our top 6. DeBrincat's 5'8", 5'9".
Yeah.
Larkin's
Yeah.
5'11".
Bit of
Raymond, I'm not so
bit of
sure
a
on.
different type of player.
Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Really, I thought Larkin was like 6'1".
Oh
I
well,
don't know. I don't remember.
I don't know either. Basically, what I'm just trying to say is having a bigger guy that can shake people's bodies off the puck if he's either on it or if he's battling the corner. I think Tarasenko having that bigger kind of build is definitely better for us than having a guy like Perron. And Perron was he was very good on the boards, but I just think having a goal scorer that has a bigger body would definitely help more. And as mentioned before, the goalie situations, I'm going to just touch on this a little bit. Yzerman said he wasn't really a fan of carrying 3 goalies, but as he mentioned in his press conference, injuries happened, especially with Husso. Kind of had to roll with 3 goalies, and thank God he did. So as he mentioned, he's probably going to roll with 3 goalies into training camp, see where things go. And obviously, injuries are a thing. And if it gets so bad to the point, you call up Jack Campbell, and away you go. So
Michael Hutchinson.
Nope, get him out there.
No, I know he's gone.
Hutchinson's not even in Grand Rapids anymore.
No, I know it was a joke. I know he's gone.
Oh, just call him back.
Call up Carter Gylander and get him up here.
It's just Chuck Augustine in there. Who cares about development,
Tell him to get out of MSU, stop being a frat, and get to LCA as soon as possible. He's halfway drunk driving.
If you want to make the jump to the big leagues, go from NCAA to the NHL.
You don't need that AHL. We need you in New York City tomorrow.
The Rangers are waiting for us. You need to be here now.
I need you in a cab on the way to New York now.
Hey, Albert Johansson. I know it's or Johansson, whatever. I know it's your first game, but can you go out there and guard Rempe for us?
Oh my God! Did you see Rempe's training with George Laraque?
Yeah, I saw.
Oh my gosh!
Oh boy, that's a problem.
All right. So that was Yzerman's press conference. A lot to be happy about what Yzerman had to say. As per usual, though, he does not give anything. That's what I forgot to mention. Arguably the biggest thing, Yzerman did not rule out another move to be made. So we could be talking right now, and there could be a freaking trade for Nikolai Ehlers that comes in the next hour or something. We don't
know. Marty Nietzsche, you are a Detroit Red Wing.
Yeah, he didn't rule out another move, so we'll be waiting for that. But yeah, as mentioned before, Yzerman talking to the public. I think the Tarasenko signing really soothed everyone of our worries about that
Yeah.
top six left winger. Ironically enough, we're going to get into Tarasenko and Tyler Mott, and as mentioned before, the arbitration about Veleno. So Tarasenko, he was signed to a $4.75 million deal for 2 years. He played for Ottawa and Florida last year. Um, screw Ottawa. In 57 games,
Into the stuff.
Tarasenko had 17 goals and 24 assists for 41 points. He was shipped off to the Florida Panthers at the trade deadline, where in 19 games played, he had 6 goals and 8 assists for 14 points. He also helped the Florida Panthers to their Stanley Cup victory, scoring 5 goals and 4 assists for 9 points. Honestly, I think we've already addressed it enough to the point where we don't have to go too much in depth with this. I think everyone likes the signing. I think everyone is glad that this move was made. It provides more goals up in the top six. It gives a two-headed monster on that second line. If you want to roll with Kane and Tarasenko, they're a deadly duo on the Rangers. Or if you want to slot Tarasenko up with Raymond and Larkin, you can do that too. Arguably, there's a lot of moves you can make with Tarasenko, even putting him on the power play. Like, all around, I think this was a very good signing by Steve Yzerman. And like mentioned before, I'm glad we went out to fill that kind of top six void. Was it a big name player? No, but I mean, when you get a guy that's falling out of free agency this far, like Tarasenko's caliber, you still have to be happy no matter what, you know? So
I honestly forgot he was a free agent until he actually signed, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I thought he got signed like first hour. So
I mean, there's still a big free agent that's out there. You guys want to know his name?
Sprong or somebody else?
Daniel Sprong.
No, he was a Detroit Red Wings legend. I mean that.
Brendan Smith
Too. Jakub Vrana.
Oh, I forgot about that. No,
no way.
You. No,
he's a free agent?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yzerman, please. You've seen the run he made in 2020. Please.
Don't.
Oh, my gosh.
Bro, he doesn't do drugs, I promise.
I don't want to get hurt again. Please.
Oh, my gosh. That was the definition of what could have been with Jakub Vrana. Oh.
Yeah.
The fans of my account will know how I feel about Verona, so I won't go into too much on that.
I still remember when we traded him at the trade deadline on how happy you were that the shit show was over.
I honestly I don't have anything against him as a guy or even as a player because he's proven like with Washington he can be a good player. My only gripe was that it was just like how long are we gonna have to deal with like him being on injured reserve, him being in player assistance, blah 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 down in Grand Rapids. It was just to me it was just such a cycle of eternal waiting and hell that like when he was gone I was almost kind of relieved as like okay now we can stop just being like oh when Verona gets back he's gonna give us like 40 goals it's just kind of to me it's just kind of like we don't have to like keep our hopes up for them to just be disappointed again. That's just the way I saw it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a trade no one won. Not Washington, not Detroit. Well, maybe Detroit.
We got Kosa.
Yeah, and we got a 7th round pick out of that. But neither did St. Louis. St. Louis did not win that trade at all.
No.
Mm-mm. I mean, he was good for like the last half of the season, and they plopped him down in Springfield.
Yeah, I thought he was good for like 4 games when he got like 2 goals.
And then 4 games, and then they just sent him to the AHL for the rest of the year.
Well, back to Tarasenko. The one thing that I say is the worst thing that's come out of it is how it's just split the entire fan base right now. But what number he's going to choose.
I swear, there's either going to be people that are going to be really mad about him picking 91, or there's going to be people that'll be like, why didn't you pick 91? I think he should go to 11. That was his Russian number during, I don't know what it was. I saw it on the web. I just can't remember what it was from. It was some Russian team. I don't know if it was the Olympics. It probably wasn't. But, I mean, hell, what do I know? But, yeah, I mean, it's torn the Red Wings fan base right now, but, I mean, we're just waiting for it.
If he walks down that tunnel next year with 91 on, they are never going to retire Fedorov's jersey, ever. And that just tells you right there. If he doesn't, then there's a chance. I'm I like the chaos. So yeah, give it to him. Go ahead, do it.
I posted a really stupid joke on my story, and I said, "Oh, are you guys so stupid? He's just gonna reverse 91 and wear 19." And
Can't do that either. You can't do that
I had the
either.
best. I know. I had the best comment. Somebody had the best reply to me ever. He's like, "You guys are all stupid. He's just gonna round up to 99."
That's great.
He's just gonna do 9. Was that Sawchuck? I think.
No,
Who's
Hunter.
not? Who's
Oh
9?
my
How?
God.
Holy shit! Oh my god! God damn it!
Fake Red Wings fan.
Oh my
Ladies and
god!
gentlemen, we got him.
There are no wrinkles in this brain whatsoever. It's been a long day.
That's great.
All right.
Gordie
And
Howe,
the other-
Detroit Vipers legend.
And the other signing that was mentioned after another Red Wing that's born in Michigan, played for the University of Michigan. Tyler Mott was signed to an $800K deal for 1 year. He played the past season with the Tampa Bay Lightning in 69 games. Nice. Had 9 points, 6 goals, and 3 assists. And in the Stanley Cup playoffs for the Tampa Bay Lightning, in 5 games, he only had 1 goal. I've seen a lot of fans, whether it's a New York Ranger fan, a Vancouver Canuck fan, like I've seen a lot of them be upset about them losing Tyler Mott. It sounds like he's a very good bottom 6 contributor that can be a very good penalty killer. I was reading some of his analytics and some messages on Twitter. His best performances are on the PK. So we could throw out a guy like JT Compher and have Tyler Mott on the wing. And I mean, we've seen how good. Oh my God, I was going to say Andrew Kopp. Yeah, please don't put him on the PK again.
He's not too bad on it.
I thought he was solid with Comfort.
Terrible.
We're getting mixed opinions here. All right, let's not turn this into a civil argument. But yeah, Tyler Mott's he's going to be a very good bottom 6 contributor for us. I think that was a very good signing for us. I mean, we'll block another prospect. Yeah, but as Dayton mentioned before, I don't think we want a Danielson or a Casper playing on the 4th line. So you get Fisher back on a 1-year deal. You get Tyler Mott on a 1-year deal. Then you can call Casper and Danielson up next year or Mazer. I mean, injuries happen. I mean, you're not going to be healthy throughout the entire season. So there's definitely going to be some.
We got pretty lucky last year.
We did, which is definitely not going to happen again this year. So you got to expect for the worst. I think it was mentioned before that Danielson, Casper, or Mazer will be the first call-ups for our teams to get them in some of the action. But yeah, so Tyler Mott and Tarasenko both signed to the Red Wings. Love both of the moves. And then finally, ending off on the kind of signing things, Joe Veleno filed for arbitration. He has until, I think it was mentioned, the end of July to the start of August to get a deal done, or the player sends in the money of what they want, and management sends in the money that they are offering, and they come to agreements. In my opinion, there should be no way in hell that Veleno should be asking for anything north of $1.25 million. If he is, he's absurd.
Max term.
8 by 8.
8 by 8. No move clause, no trade clause, none of the clauses.
Give him every single thing. Just sign him to a 7-year deal worth the league minimum.
No
Give him an
buyout.
A.
It's gonna be you're gonna be our 4th line center for our cup run. Well,
You're gonna be a
promise you
poster
that.
child.
Give him the
Of
Darren
what
Helm
not to
contract.
do.
But
Just put him in net.
Yes, Dayton, it's our next Darren Helm.
Oh no.
We're going back to the Kenny Holland era.
Oh,
Where
God.
we're signing veterans to 7 to 8 year deals. Let's go.
Who else will
I
be
just
our
got-
assistant cheerleader on injured reserve?
Franz Nielsen, come on down.
I just got PTSD flashbacks to the Luke Witkowski Calgary line brawl.
Bring back Jonathan Erickson's anchor of a contract, please.
Oh my god.
Do it for
The
the
Danny DeKaiser blank check extension.
World's best defenseman. The Messiah. He's the Messiah.
Okay, so those are the signings and Joe Veleno filing for arbitration. You expect Joe Veleno and Yzerman to come back on a deal or circle back sooner rather than later, but keep updates on that. I mean, imagine that's just our news for the rest of the year. Oh my God, guys, the rest of the Red Wings news is Joe Veleno signed to a 1-year deal worth $1 million. Aren't we so happy?
Well, it also opens up a buyout window if
Mhm.
it goes to
Yeah, that's
arbitration.
true. That is true.
I don't think it'll do anything because you can't buy out anybody. What was it, under 4 million? So
Yeah.
Oh,
I think we could. I think we could buy out Cop next year. But if you buy him out this year, what? It doesn't like double the years or something. So it'd be like 6 years we have to pay him, and then if we buy him out next year, it'd be 4 or something like that. I'm
Something
not
yeah.
100
like that.
percent sure.
I think we keep Cop. I mean, he's not the best player in the world, but I'm not paying another person 6 years.
No.
We already had Franz Nielsen and Justin Applicator bought out. Please don't do this shit again.
If the salary cap keeps going up, I can see Cops like. I'm not gonna say it's a good contract, obviously, but I can see us keeping him around
Yeah,
just
I can
because.
too.
Yeah, honestly, on the note of the Veleno thing though, I don't know for sure whether or not like I'm kind of like I want him back because I feel like he's a pretty decent fourth line center. I feel like he took a bit of a leap last year as far as his performance and his production. But the biggest reason I want him back is because I don't want to retire my goal meme for him because that's my favorite one.
Oh, and didn't I give you the fish meme?
I think it was you gave me the Christian Fischer fish meme. I didn't get to post it though because I didn't make it until after he scored his last goal for us, but I got it on.
You posted it once. Which
I
was
posted
real
it, yeah. I posted it after I made it, but that was after his last goal. But it's on the books for next year. It's gonna be back.
Fisher's gonna
I had
score.
a guy, I think it was Andres Sanchez, did one for Andrew Kopp, and it's my favorite one ever. I post it every once in a while. It's touching. I love it so much.
It's like my the dancing kid emo I did or emo.
Oh yeah,
Dancing kid me man he then the seal one.
yeah.
If I don't post one of those, like the world ends for people.
Oh, I love
for
that
sure,
one
yeah.
so much. It's my
It's
favorite.
good ones, yeah. Classics.
Yeah.
Classics. I didn't get to use a lot of my favorite ones this year because I don't know why, but all my favorite ones were made for like all the ones I made that turned out to be my favorites are like fourth line plugs and whatnot. And it's
So like the guy that scores 2 goals a year.
yeah, I think one of my favorite ones was Klim Kostin, and I don't remember how many goals he got this year, but I just so happened to miss games where he scored like more than half of his goals for some reason. I don't know, so I hardly ever got to post it.
I made it wasn't even like a goal for Justin Hull. It was just like Justin Hull got a point, and I used it one time.
I remember when you used it.
The good thing is still gonna use my Justin Hall and Ben Sherratt meme. You just let Justin Hall and Ben Sherratt beat you. I get to
Hey,
use
Justin
it.
Hall.
Very happy
Justin
by
Hall.
Let that sink in.
Justin Hall still has yet to score his first career Red Wing goal. So
Jesus.
It's coming. It's coming.
Yeah, he's gonna have a hat trick. He's gonna have a
40
natural
goal
hattie.
season
It's gonna
for
be
Hall
sick.
next year.
of his 5 points with the Wings last year, 3 of them came in one game.
I
was at
remember
that
somebody
game.
typed that. I laughed so hard.
I was at that game. I think it was a +3 that game.
Oh wow.
It was up against
I
Calgary. They won 6-2. James Reimer in net. Alex DeBricket hat trick.
All right, yeah, that's it.
I remember that. I remember watching that game. That was so much fun. I was so pumped during that game. I got to go to one game last year, one Red Wings game, and it was the blowout in Buffalo. And I
Oh,
was
God.
so mad. I was
Oh
so
my
pissed.
god.
I don't live in Detroit or Michigan, so I get to see like one game a year when they're near me. And it was that game. I had tickets for that game. I had gotten them as a gift for Christmas, and I was so excited. And this was at like the height of their losing streak. They had lost like 7 or 8 straight. and it was like a 7-2 blowout. I was there with my sister. I was so pissed. I feel bad for her, but like, oh bro, it was a rough game. It was just bad.
It was kind of like that. So the one Buffalo game at home where I don't know, like the tides turned a little bit, but it was like right in that losing streak. My cat just knocked something off the entertainment center, but it was in the middle of that losing streak, and I'm going in there just dreading it. And then Christian Fischer scored that one goal where he was like laying spread eagle on the ice and just flicked it puck right between the goalie's legs.
I remember that.
Yeah, and I'm just like, oh well, maybe this will be all right. And then it was at the end of the game. I kind of like looked around, and I'm like, maybe I'm the good luck charm. I don't, because I haven't. Anytime I've been at LCA, they've never lost a game. So
Hunter,
Oh.
keep going. Then
I need season tickets. Someone started GoFundMe.
I'll pay for that. I've been to one game at LCA.
We'll put it in the link below.
I've been to one game at LCA, and it was not this year, but last year. It was the game where Edvinson had his first NHL point. It was I think it was a 4-2 loss to St. Louis.
Mm.
I can flex though. I saw Marco Kasper's debut in Toronto.
Yeah,
there you go.
His one NHL game, and Larkin got a hat trick that game. Actually,
That was a sick game. That was a
Yeah.
good game.
any game where we beat the Leafs is a good game. Let's be real.
Okay, we kind of got off track by that, but that was a good.
Yeah.
Oh, that was
Go.
great.
So kind of running over what happened this past week, the prospect development camp was on at the LCA. The main thing that I think we took away from that is the 3-on-3 games. Everyone looked in place that we thought. Danielson looked progressively better
As advertised.
Yep. NBN, oh my God, MBN and his shot.
His
still
shot
there.
is nuts. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Every time I see somebody type MBN instead of just like his name, I think of Mbon for some reason. I'm like, bro, that guy sucks. And I'm like, wait,
Yeah,
no,
I
it's
know.
Newgard. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry, continue. I interrupted.
No, you're all good. But yeah, the only knock that I had on MBN's game is he kept freaking falling in the
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
the free
Well,
Yeah, he had a escape
well,
problem.
because
But yeah, MBN looked good. Augustine was leading the goaltending prospects, which, as you know, Augustine is another very high-end prospect in our system for the goalies. He will be returning for MSU for his sophomore season, but it's better for his development. As a Michigan fan, I do not like to see that, but whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so Augustine looked in place as well. Axel Sandin Pelka looking fantastic as always. And just in general, I think that was a very good showing of the prospect development camp this year. I really liked what I seen out of our prospects.
but someone, I don't know if you're gonna bring him up or not. So if you were going to, I'm sorry, but someone that looked pretty impressive to me that stood out was Emmett Finney, who was a 7th-round pick last year.
Yes. Absolutely.
He looked really good.
He stood out a lot.
Yep.
Unless we
Remember
forget
when
about the man, the myth, the legend, Brady Cleveland, and his
I
game-winning goal.
knew you were
Oh my
going to say
God.
that. I knew you were going to say that. I was waiting for Brady Cleveland to come up.
But yeah, overall, like I said, it was a great prospect performance. I still remember me texting Dayton. I'm like, who did we sign? Emil Vinny? Who is this? Because he was our 7th-round pick, and I'm like, never heard of him. But I mean, we might have to watch out for him. His game has been progressively getting better as the years go on.
Thank you.
I think our Czechia prospect that we just signed, it was mentioned before, he was looking very well too. So
Yes.
always good signs to see our prospects playing very well. Very excited for the future for the Red Wings. Before we get into our follower submitted questions, I'd kind of like to look at our prospect pipeline real quick. Just about a couple of the prospects that I think that we could make a case for making the NHL. I kind of want to look at our main prospects. You have obviously Nate Danielson, Marco Kasper, Axel Sandin Pellikka, Carter Mazer, Sebastian Costa, Trey Augustine, newly acquired Max Plant, Emil
Yeah, I was
Vinny,
going to say, Max Plant was very good out there.
Amadeus Lombardi. Just spitball any names that you guys have that I'm missing there real quick.
I don't know much about him, but I know Zach likes that Jesse something that we got from Nashville. He was a 3rd-round pick in 23.
Pulkkinen is his name? Jesse
Pick-
Pulkkinen?
Yeah.
Or
Jesse
Tikkanen? I don't
Pulkkinen.
remember.
Something like that, yeah.
It's either Tikkanen or Pulkkinen. I can't tell. I can't remember.
One or the other.
But yeah, I told the group chat, well, I really liked his game. I was watching a couple clips from him. He could be something. I mean, it's very rare that 3rd-round picks become anything, but I think with the right development, I mean, he's got a good shot. He's got good hands too. The one knock I think he has on his game is skating a little bit, but like we mentioned with other prospects, skating is one of the easier things to teach when you're a prospect. So looking at these prospects, in my opinion, I think I kind of want to look at what prospects could make the NHL either this year, next year, or 3 years down the line. Looking at Nate Danielson and Marco Casper, Carter Mazer, you could make the case they could make it this year if they absolutely blow the living shit out of the door and they're
I don't
here to.
think I don't think Danielson has to like do it as much. I think last year he was like one of the final roster cuts, so he was very close to making it. I think
Yeah,
even if he has like a solid training camp in preseason, I think he has the best shot to make it
Mhm.
I
outside of
honestly think
Edmondson
so.
and Johansson.
And Bun really gave him a C plus in draft picks. He's not that bad.
Mhm.
Yeah, I didn't like it at first, but
It's that
you know, I
Brandon
never like.
Weeking effect.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I don't
Um,
know if I was crazy of him at 9th overall, but I don't know if it justifies a C plus at all.
No.
We can all just pretend that we picked Pelika and
Yeah.
Danielson
Yeah.
opposite spots,
just
you know?
swap them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
Just pretend they're picked at each other's spots. It's all good.
NBN just hates us. It's okay.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
whatever. So yeah, I think Mazer, Danielson, Casper, you could all make the argument of this year. Axel Standing Pelika, I have no doubts in my mind that he will probably make it the year after or next season.
Yeah.
Michael Branson Nygaard. Oh my, I think he might make it. He might not make it.
I'd give
He
him
has,
some AHL experience first,
yeah, agreed.
and then kind of wean him in. Maybe just like a couple game stint here and there. I wouldn't just say, "Here you go, NHL player, go play against McDavid." So
You're telling me you don't do that? Man, I've been playing franchise mode wrong then.
so have I.
Max Plant, I'm very high on as well. I think I mentioned that before in our previous episode. I think he's a very, very, very good playmaker. He can pass the puck across the ice very well. He can find open areas where players are open, whether that's on the power play or just in a pressurized zone offensive drive. I think he might take 3 years. I think he's going to the University of Minnesota Duluth. He's obviously going to spend a year there. I think he's going to play a year in the AHL, and then he can try and make his case in 3 years.
Sorry, but I think he'll make the NHL just because of his name, because his dad was in the NHL.
Yeah.
So I think he'll at least get a look at some point. I mean,
Right.
I think he could be pretty decent with how like good his passing is, but I think just his name helps him too. So
Yeah,
agree.
one prospect I'm pretty high on. I really like Amadeus Lombardi. I
I
I'll
really
admit
want Lombardi.
I
I
admit
really-
I only started watching his highlights and like watching his like play because I thought he had a cool name. But like since I started watching him, I'm actually impressed with his game. I think he plays pretty good two-way game, and yeah, he's one of my favorite prospects, I think.
Yeah.
I'm
Well-
not going to lie. I'm gonna crush both of your guys' spirits here. I think he's going to be the main. If there's a if there's a trade to be made, I think Amadeus Lombardi is the prospect that will probably be traded.
Yeah,
I can see
I
that
think
too.
you're right. I think you're right. I had a feeling he was going to go back when we traded for DeBrincat, but like,
Yeah.
you know, I can definitely see him being traded as unfortunate for me as it would be because I have such good content ideas for if he made the team. From my
I
opinion.
already know what you're gonna do.
Okay, we're back. We had to end it because Hunter has a beer league game. I think he addressed that he's going to be playing goalie for. Or wait, no, it's a soccer game he's going to be playing goalie for. Anyway,
Yep.
So as always, at the end of every podcast, we're going to be doing a follower submitted questions off of Dayton's story, aka at Red Wings coverage on Instagram. We do these so you guys can interact with us, and if you have any questions we can go over, we'll answer them. We always don't get to all of them, but they will be introduced in the next episodes as to come. We read every single one of them. These are just more of the ones that really stuck out to us the most, and we feel could be very interesting topics to address. So with that being said, let's get into it. From Chloe182, what player currently not on the Red Wings would be the best fit if we could get them? And it's so difficult because when those players come out on the market, it's just you have to kind of pinpoint what attributes could be fitted into a Red Wings kind of future. And I feel like that's for every team too. You can't just pick one singular player. Like you can't just say, Oh, I think Leon Draisaitl will be a great Red Wing. There has to be like kind of specific things about his game that you have to pick and choose about why he'd be a fantastic Red Wing. But if there's a long shot one, I'd my my pick would maybe be Trevor Zegras, but that's a very big stretch. Um, I don't know. I just feel his offensive style game would fit well with the Red Wings, but I mean, it's a long shot for us to get him. Um, yeah, this it's kind of a tough question because, like I said before, once a player comes out on the trade market, teams usually have to figure out their own kind of fits for them, and it's really hard to address them. But that's my pick. Dayton and Owen, what are your guys' picks for this?
You want me to go first, or you go first?
You can go first.
Um, well, somebody I've always wanted on the wings that I bring up every year is Brandon Carlo. I feel like maybe not anymore, but no, I still want him. I feel like I don't know. I don't watch too much Boston, but from what I've heard, he's a really good two-way right-handed defenseman, and I feel like you have you could have Sider, Carlo, and then ASP for a bit, and then as ASP keeps developing, then he takes that second spot, and then Carlo goes down to the third spot.
Mm-hmm.
There's also some free agents next year that I saw. I don't remember all of them, but this one probably won't happen since how many left-handed defensemen we have. But Shea Theodore is a free agent next year,
Would
so
love to go after Shea Theodore.
yeah, there's some other free agents that I looked at that I wouldn't mind, but I don't remember who they were.
Owen, do you have your pick?
Yeah, as far as for like the immediate present for like a player that I would think would be a good fit for the team right now, it's hard to say because I feel like our team has the offensive talent and we need to focus more on like the back end defense or goalie. Um, there's a lot of good options for goalies. I always mention John Gibson, but I feel like what we really need for our decor is we don't really have anybody who's a great offensive defenseman, but we still really need really decent defensive defensemen. A guy I like as a team I also like is the Islanders. So a guy I like from the Islanders that could be available potentially is a guy like Adam Pelech. Um, he has a pretty good contract that wouldn't be too hard to add to our team. He's a solid defensive defenseman. He had a bit of a down year last year, so it's a bit risky, but I feel like that could be a thing that could help us get him on a fairly good deal. So if he could bounce back, I'd like to have a guy like him who's a reliable defensive defenseman with like a slight offensive upside on the team. You know, somebody like that. Because if you think about it, it's hard to get really good quality defensive defensemen. Most of the ones that are out there are like really sought after by teams, so you kind of have to look for guys who are kind of like sleeper guys. So, you know, it's
Yeah.
a bit tricky in that sense. Other than that, you know, like I said, Gibson, you know, a pretty reliable goaltender that could be somebody who could fit the bill for a couple of years until Kosa or Augustine is ready.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing too. Is I think we are all were expecting John Gibson to be a Red Wing. I certainly wanted him to be, but maybe the fit wasn't there. Maybe it will be next year. We don't know. Maybe Costa has another year of development, and we trade for Gibson. I'm not sure how many more years he has left on his contract, but you know,
Two, maybe.
2 years. I mean, that would fit perfectly for us. But I mean, Gibson would be an amazing fit, having him as a mentor for Costa. I like your idea about Adam Pelech too. Adam Islanders bias aside, I think the big thing that NHL teams sought after in this league, like you said, is defensive defensemen. There's actually knocks off of Anton Salayev's game when they were talking about it at the draft, saying offensive defensemen scare teams away because I mean it's not your main role is to score goals, it's to keep players out of the back half of the zone. Um, and you said that most of those players kind of go under the radar. Like the most basic one I can think of is Jonas Siegenthaler when he was traded from the Capitals to the Devils. I think he's a
Right.
very, very good defensive defenseman. And he didn't cost. I mean, he costed them a second round pick, I think, but he's turned into a great top four kind of guy. But yeah, I definitely agree. Adam Pelech would be a great guy. I mean, you've seen the Islanders ship out defensive defensemen before, especially in Devon Taves, and look how he's turned out in Colorado. So yeah, I agree. I think a second right-handed defensive defenseman would be the best thing to look for the Red Wings to add. Um, Next up, Jacob underscore long 25. This is probably going to be one of my favorite questions to ask. Is Yzerman done? I don't think he is. I think there's still some roster construction that he has to do, as we mentioned before. Yzerman has not ruled out another move yet. What that is yet, not so sure. Maybe it's a defensive move. Maybe he gets someone for the middle six slash bottom six. Although I think our forward core is pretty much shored up now. I think I don't really want us to touch that Cop, Rasmussen, or Fisher line. Um, so I think our forwards are fine. I think, like I said, there's going to have to be a move for a defenseman, whether that's unloading a contract off like Justin Hall or just, I wouldn't even say giving up premium assets, but getting a guy who can fit that second line right-handed D that can take some of that pressure off of Moritz Seider. But I mean, time will only tell for what we have to do. There's a there is a massive question mark about our side of the defensive side of the what do you call it? Defensive side of the game. Um, I think as Cat Friendly, rest in peace, mentioned that on the website we have, I think, 8 or 9 defensemen right now, barring injuries. I mean, you'd like to have some insurance as backup just in case, but I feel like if you have 9 defensemen, you're gonna have to ship someone out. As Dayton mentioned before, Jeff Petry's probably not going to be that guy. I think he's going to be the bottom six guy for us. Will a name like Oli Mata show up in trades? I think Hunter mentioned it before. I don't think we're going to be able to offload Justin Hall's contract. I mean, if you're going to have to dump Jake Wallman off for a second round pick, I don't think a salary dump for Justin Hall will be very plausible for anyone. So
Yeah.
yeah, in my opinion, I don't think Yzerman's done. We have a long way to go before training camp starts. There's been moves that Yzerman has made before, um, i.e. the DeBrincat move and then Jeff Petry later in August this last year. I don't think he's done. What that move will be, no one knows. He doesn't even know what move he's going to be making yet. I think he's still analyzing what this team's going to be. But yeah,
Um, well, you kind of said what I was going to say. I don't have too much to say on it. I think just, I don't know. I think he might be done. I mean, like, I think I heard somewhere like our roster's at like 23 or 22 players right now. So really, I mean, the roster's kind of already set. I mean, like he said, um, last year he got Petrie in August, but I don't think anything will really happen anymore. So yeah, I don't have too much to say about that one anymore. But
Owen, what about you?
I don't really like the word done as far as like it's kind of a constant thing aside from the trade deadline as far as like moves are going to keep being made throughout the season as it starts and whatnot. But like I have a feeling that for the most part, Steve's. I'm not going to say the word like 100% done, but I have a feeling he's kind of got the roster in mind that the way he likes seeing it as it is now. Um, I would like to see a trade on the back end because I don't think our defensive core is going to cut it. I have a feeling that Talbot and Lyon is going to be pretty decent goalie tandem that we can jump between both guys pretty consistently and reliably. But as far as the decor itself goes, as on forward, I think Steve's definitely done. I think he's going to fill the holes that we have from last year, like Sprong and whatnot, Fabry, with prospects, which is kind of what we've all
yeah,
been wanting to see for the past season or two. But I would like to see a move on defense, but I think for the most part, Steve isn't really cooking up anything big from now on. So
Mm-hmm.
that's my thoughts.
Agreed. Okay. Now from Liam Sam Owens, he says, this is a very interesting topic. For this next upcoming season, do you think Lucas Raymond or Moritz Seider gets an A? Uh, no, I don't think so. I think there's too much veterans on this team for them to get an A yet. I'm really hoping that Patrick Kane gets an assistant or an A. We'll see though, but no, I think it's too early to give them any sort of letters on their chest yet.
I, I don't really agree. I think Simon easily could because I think it was last year, 2 years ago, he actually had the A on a couple of times. Um, and I remember, when we drafted him, people talked about like after the draft his leadership abilities, and even I think it was like a year or two ago. I think I don't remember who posted it. For some reason, I'm thinking it was Ken, but I could be really wrong. But um, like he thinks that Sider could be the future captain for the Wings. I mean, obviously that's a while away still, but you still get the point. But No, I think
Hmm.
he could have an assistant captain this year.
I would like to see Sider be an assistant captain, but I have a feeling it's not going to be that way, at least for this season. Definitely in the future, it's something I would see, especially the way, like you see in media pressers and off-season kind of content and whatnot. Sider's really taken a step forward personality-wise to emerge as, like, like sort of a heart and soul kind of guy. Um, this is more of an opinion thing. I kind of just hope the Red Wings will just name two consistent A's this year. I I don't. I know
Yeah,
it sounds kind of silly, but I'm not a huge fan of the idea of like jumping back and forth between guys. Like
I'm
it
not
was
either.
cool. It was cool to give Kane an A when he was back in Chicago, but like I would like them to just pick like say okay for this season we're gonna go with Kane and I don't know Sherratt I guess, and those are our two guys for the season. That's what I'd like to see
well,
personally.
I think that they did that last year, like when Rasmussen got one in Vancouver, because that's where he's from, and then Kane got one in Chicago because well, he played for the Hawks, obviously. Um, Maybe there were some other ones, but I'm not remembering. Um, but no, I know they did switch. I think Kopp was a permanent assistant captain, and then I think they switched Perron, or no, maybe Sherratt was. I don't know, one of them. But then they switched Perron and either Kopp or Sherratt for home and away games. But I agree. I mean, I would rather have them keep like two permanent ones, but they've done this rotating thing like since Larkin was an assistant captain before they named him captain. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll see.
It just goes to show how much leadership the team may have in the room, though, as well, which is also a very good thing. But I agree with Owen. I think you kind of just need to settle down and pick your assistant captains and look towards those guys and being in the room. And I think it brings up to what I see in my varsity locker room every day. No matter what, if you don't have a C or an A on your chest, you still need to be a leader, no matter what. And I think that can be applied here to the Red Wings. I think you can name those assistant captains and those captains, and those are your main guys you can contribute to. But it's up to the team whether or not you want to be a leader with or without an A or a C on your chest. And I think that that's the bigger picture of what we need to do. So in my opinion, I wouldn't rule out three assistant captains this year. I mean, my ideally alternate captains would be Ben Sherratt, Andrew Kopp, and Patrick Kane. But I mean, only time will tell. I do agree with Dayton though. I think Moritz Seider, not this season, but down the line, Moritz Seider 110% will get a letter on his chest.
For sure.
Barring if Larkin leaves, I don't want it to happen, but if it does, I 110% will see Moritz Seider getting the C and being the next captain for this team. But um, until then, I think an A is definitely in his future. This season, probably not. Like I said, I wouldn't mind rolling with three alternate captains this year. But yeah, that's kind of
Also,
just
oh,
my
one more thing I'll answer for the spirit of Hunter. I think we should strip Larkin of the C and give it to Brady Cleveland.
yes,
There
agreed.
we go.
Okay, next up
Sorry I
from
cut you off there.
Griffin. No, you're all good. Next up from Griffin Krozik. Most underrated Wings prospect, and we all have to answer this differently. I'm gonna go first because there is a player that I think Dayton might know who I'm saying because I mentioned him in the last episode. Um, our third round pick, Andre. What was his last name? I have to hold up. I'll go grab what it was. I have my notes. He was our third round pick last year. He played for the uh, Prince George Cougars. Let's see here. Nope, I don't have it. I don't know. I don't know his last name. That's gonna look really stupid on me. Oh, Andre
I'm,
Becker. That was his name.
oh yeah,
I'm very high on Andre Becker. He's a late bloomer prospect, but I mean, I've been watching some of his plays in Prince George. He played with two first round picks, or sorry, one first round pick and then a one second round pick. Washington's first round pick. Can't remember who the other one was. Um, but yeah, he really lit up kind of the WHL with those with that line. As mentioned before, he is a late bloomer. He is 21 years old. He re-entered the draft this year. But all around, I think his offensive game is very, very good. I think he's a very good playmaker. He's a good sniper as well. I think all around, he's just a very good offensive player who can provide some defensive plays on the back end as well and some forecheck. All around, I think he's a great prospect in my opinion. I wouldn't be surprised if he kind of opens some eyes up a little bit down the line, whether it's next season or if he plays in Grand Rapids the next year. He's definitely one of my most underrated prospects, in my opinion.
this earlier. I think it would be Emmett Finney. I mean, you don't really ever see a seventh round pick signing an entry level contract. Maybe like really ever, if especially like months after the draft. Um, I mean, the only time I've seen him play, which was I don't think he played a game with Grand Rapids last year when he signed with them. Um, but from what I've heard, he doesn't have like an elite shot, but um, he's got like that really solid two-way game you want, which, well, I guess it's pretty fitting for Yzerman. Um, I'd want to watch more of him, but that's just who I think is our most underrated prospect right now. That I think a lot of people are starting to take notice of. So
This is
yeah,
going to be kind of a controversial pick for me. He's not underrated by Wings fans, but I feel like he gets slept on a lot by other fans and
I already know
media
who you're gonna
people.
say.
It's Kosa.
Oh, maybe not.
I don't know. I feel like Kosa gets a lot of heat from analysts and fans of other teams for being like just like a lot of
yeah,
people I see call him a bust, and I see it way too often. I really think he has potential to be a future top Vezina caliber goaltender. I know sometimes he has games where he looks shaky and whatnot, but I don't know. Maybe it's just me that has a feeling. And based off the way I've seen him play when I watched games with Grand Rapids, I really feel that he has the potential to be a future franchise goalie for us. If I'm picking somebody more like realistic as far as like who we might all think is underrated, I would maybe go with a guy like it's a bit tougher actually.
If not, you can just roll with Costa because I think that case of him being underrated definitely
Yeah, okay,
is.
I'll just roll with Kosa then. Yeah.
I agree with you. Costa should not be getting as much hate as he should be. I think that's because we traded up in the draft to grab him instead of Wallstedt, and everyone's joking on us for that. But I mean, Costa's a raw prospect, but I mean, he's a 6'6" goalie who has a very big size. He can move to the net side to side, and I mean, as a goalie, I've seen it, the way he's played in Grand Rapids. Like he's going to be a very damn good goalie when he gets to the NHL. You just need to give him time.
Yeah.
Um, the problem with Wallstedt is they already threw him into the NHL, and look how bad those, what was it, 3 games turned out for him. You need to ease these prospects in slowly, especially when they're goalies, because their development is definitely a lot different than defensemen or forwards. But yeah, I agree with you. Maybe he's not underrated by Red Wings fans, but I mean he's underrated by the entire league, in my opinion. I think he's gonna be that goalie that is gonna come out and he's gonna shock the world. And it's not being biased. I just, the way he plays in Toledo and Grand Rapids, like there, you can tell there's a high ceiling with him.
Yeah. Also, I I want to mention I see a lot of people online talk about how in Wallsted's his first start with Minnesota, it was like a pretty bad blowout. I think it was like 7-2 or something like that. A lot of people try to
yeah.
like blame Minnesota, the team, for the loss and say that the team played awful in front of him. But I actually watched the game out of curiosity, and like Minnesota, they didn't play very good that game. They didn't have a great game, but Wallstead didn't, like, he wasn't that good either in the game. And I'm not saying he doesn't have potential to be a great goaltender, because he does, but I'm not gonna like stand by and just say, "Oh yeah, he played well, but Minnesota left him out to dry," because he didn't really have that good a game. Just kind of a
Mm-hmm.
side point.
Right. Okay. A second to last question here. Charlie Chambers says, okay, it's a silly one. Is it fair to give up on Yzerman if there's no playoffs in April? Uh, no, there. I should not hear any Yzerman should be fired after this season just because we don't make the playoffs. I think, as it was mentioned on the Wingwood podcast, there will be some leeway this year about us not making the playoffs as long as we don't take too big of a step back. I think there'll be some regression, but I don't think we're going to go from whatever points we had last year to like upper 70s um, to mid 70s. I don't think there's going to be that hard of a regression. I think we're going to be maintaining the same pace we were last year, barring everything turns right and Raymond breaks out to have a point per game season. DeBrincat scores like 40 goals. Kane has an above a point per game year.
Or I think even Cat just getting like 30 35 because his passing game this year, like out of nowhere, became like pretty elite. So
I'm just more of saying like everything has to go right for us to like over exceed,
Yeah.
and
I know.
it's not that far off to say that we can. I mean, people are forgetting that we had slumps in December and March that caused this team to not make the playoffs. I would argue if we won, I don't know, maybe like 7 to 8.
One game.
Okay, I'm more of thinking like more of us securing our spot more rather than already having it when we're going to Montreal. Like I'm just saying like our spot would be more secured if we had 7 to 8 wins in those downward stretches in December and March. People are kind of forgetting about that. Like if this team very well could have been a north to 90 team point if or 90 north of 90 points team that if our slumps didn't happen, which I think kind of goes under the radar. Of course, we're not going to win every game if everything went right. There will probably be some wins that we're going to be in those slumps, which I think would have helped us a lot more. So I don't know. I mean, getting back on topic here, no, Yzerman should not be given up yet. You still got to trust the process. I've mentioned that countless times again in our group chats. It's the direction that we all like right now. Do we want to get back to the playoffs? I'm like 99% sure every Red Wings fan is foaming at the mouth for a playoff game at the LCA. Dayton almost witnessed one last year in Montreal, but point being, like you got to trust what Steve Yzerman's doing. He's building a team for now and the future. You can't just jump a rebuild because we've seen it with LA. They jumped the gun on their rebuild. They got their prospects up and they signed a crap ton of players. And look at them now. They're making the playoffs, but they're first round exits. And I mean, back in last year, back in December and January, they were not doing too hot either. So is it different for every team for a rebuild? Yes, but in the grand scheme of things, patience is key, and I think that's what Yzerman's doing. He's letting these prospects develop. He's letting Axel Sandin Pellikka have another year in Sweden. He might give Casper and Danielson another year down in Grand Rapids. So when that time comes, when Fisher and Mott come off the books, you can bring them up. It should not be any way, shape, or form Yzerman's fault if this team doesn't make the playoffs next year. The year after that, though, I think there's going to be a lot less leeway to it. We'll see what happens. We'll cross that bridge when it comes to it because there could be a whole different thing that happens this next offseason. But to get back to your point, no, I don't think any Red Wings fan should give up on Yzerman. If so, it's just showing that true Red Wings fans give up way too fast.
Well, I feel like you explained that pretty well, so I don't really have much to say. Other than I feel like we're gonna either have like a pretty much an identical season this year, but I also wouldn't be surprised if we do better than that. I feel like because Fisher, during his interview a couple of days ago, he was saying how the team has a chip on their shoulder. A lot of the guys, obviously a lot of new guys are in there, but a lot of the same guys are still there. A lot of those guys, they think that they should have made the playoffs, obviously, especially with how big of a lead they had. So I think they want to, show that that last year wasn't a fluke, I guess.
Revenge season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The way I see it, I can understand why some people, particularly casual fans, might start to have criticisms of Yzerman if we miss the playoffs this year. But all I'm going to say is I don't think it's the right move to jump the ship after this season, barring some awful, ridiculous trade or signing at the end of next season that just like completely screws us over for some reason. I can't see it happening though. I think, and I've been seeing a lot of people say this, I think that we might have a bit of a regression this year. Maybe not. We might make a playoff spot. I can definitely see it happening. But I think we make a bigger jump next year. So the season after. Yeah, and I've even seen, like, guys, I know I mentioned him already, like, twice, but I noticed Mbon, he actually said the same thing. He thinks that we have a regression this year, and then the next season, when, like, our prospects are more developed and, whatnot, we make a big jump up to, like, a playoff team, even, like, a divisional finish rather than a wild card finish, and I definitely think that's what's going to happen.
Right.
Maybe I was overconfident.
Could be.
I mean, again, I could see it going either way. I can see us making the playoffs, or I can see us having regression. But either way, I'd rather have us have a regression year than paying a guy like Brandon Montour a 7x7 or a Chandler Stevenson a 7x6 or a Stamkos an 8x4. I'd much rather take any of that
Mm-hmm.
any day. Okay, so the last question here before we finish off and wrap up this episode from S. Schwen, 22. Sorry if I butchered that name. It's more of a silly kind of question here. Would you like to see the Wings go a red bucket, white uniforms like the Carolina Hurricanes did last year? Um, I mean, maybe. I don't think it looked terrible, but I just don't think that kind of fits the Red Wings kind of like style of heritage, I guess. I mean, we saw Toronto do it in Sweden where they had the blue helmets and the white jerseys. So, I mean, you can't really rule it out. I mean, would I like to see it? Probably. I just don't think it would really happen.
No, I wouldn't want them to do it. I don't know if you remember when they called up Riley Barber a couple of years ago, and he
Hmm.
accidentally came out with the red helmet with the away uniforms.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So I feel like we've kind of, even if it was on accident for like just one picture, I feel like we've seen it before, and I just don't think that looked too good.
Yeah, I'm with Dayton. I hate it. I think it's stupid. I think it's stupid that Carolina does it. I think it's stupid that the Leafs did it. I don't like it. I feel like Carolina does it, and I feel like they have their goofy second Canes jersey as the away jersey, just as kind of like a way to be like, oh
I
hey,
actually
look
like
at
that
us.
jersey.
And I don't like. I hate it. I hate it
I
so
don't like
much.
it either.
I think it's stupid.
Their whole jersey lineup is just so bonkers and confusing.
I love their. Yeah, sorry.
No, you're all good. It's all confusing what they're doing. I'm not a fan of it. I like the jerseys. It's just I don't like the ideas behind it.
I like their primaries this year. I like their home jerseys. I like the black with the flag. I think
Oh
it's
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
I'd rather do that as an alternate jersey. You know, I think they should have kept it as an alternate jersey. I like their what was it? Their anniversary jerseys where they brought back the 2005 Stanley Cup jerseys. Like those are nice.
Yeah,
With
those looked
the
great in the playoffs last year. When I was
mm,
watching the Islanders get mopped in the first round, it's awesome, nice jerseys. I like those ones. One thing I think the Red Wings should do is I know they put out the survey last year and we all thought we were getting them. Was I think we should get a third jersey. I don't know what you'd really do for it, but I want us to get a third jersey so badly. Like
I have an
it's
idea.
killing me. I want them to bring back the 15-16 Stadium Series jersey as an
They need
alternate.
they need to bring back the 2020-21 reverse retros. Bring back the practice jerseys.
No, that I see.
Oh no.
A lot of the Adidas jerseys on the NHL website are gone, other than like the custom ones you can get, which that's not too bad. But the only one that I see on there constantly that's always on sale is that reverse retro one from a couple of years ago, the practice jersey one. I've never
Mm.
seen that one not on there. And a lot of jerseys, especially now, a lot of the Adidas ones say almost gone next to them. That one I have yet to see it say that. So
I
I
might
don't
get
think
it
anyone.
if it's a very good deal, just for shits and giggles. Honestly, I
Practice
have
jersey.
the I have the one from what was it 2 years ago? I really like that one and my Adam
Last year,
Ernie jersey.
20,
The black and red.
20.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
like
black
that
and
one.
red. Sorry.
I like those jerseys as well. I think I'd be happy with them bringing that as an alternative. I really like the idea of us having another color. I know it kind of defeats the classic heritage of the red and white, but I do think it looked pretty sick that we had like a red and a black. I think the black
Okay.
looks cool.
Okay, well, that'll wrap up episode 3 of the Hockey in the 303 podcast. We thank you guys, as always, for listening. If you do tune into this podcast and listen all the way through, your support is greatly appreciated. As mentioned on Dayton's story before, we love doing these podcasts. It's a great way to kind of talk about our sport that we love and talk about everything Red Wings related. Um, Again, and your support from you guys means everything. Our first 2 episodes are doing very well, more than expected. We're looking to grow it even more. We're hoping that you guys can spread the word a little bit as well, kind of help us out a bit. But as time goes on, I feel like this is a great kind of secondary way off of our Instagram accounts to kind of ran off some hockey news and get some Red Wings talks and especially with the followers submitted questions, just kind of getting away from more of the hockey news and getting to the like kind of the fun parts of it. So yeah, as always, thank you guys so much for listening. I'm
Yeah,
Brian.
I'm Dayton.
And I'm Owen.
And we'll see you guys either next week. This episode will probably be uploaded sometime tomorrow morning. We'll keep you guys updated. And as always, have a great rest of your day, guys. Appreciate you guys listening.